So today we're going to talk about the annotated bibliography assignment. Let me,
Cries, PTSD.
or what is it?
It's a PTSD.
Yeah, here. The fun part of the course is almost over, right? Now we get to the drudgery. Now I'm going to switch over to my Microsoft Word screen. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
And this is up for you on Blackboard under the essay prompts if you want to also pull it up on your own screens. So the first step in this project, well, of course, you want to know what book it is that you are going to write about. But you also kind of want to have an angle to it as well, right? Like Bridget was mentioned before class, she's interested in doing the yellow wallpaper, right? So the question now is, what specific angle are we going to take into the yellow wallpaper, for instance, right? So you might, if you're interested in doing the medical profession stuff, that's an angle. If you want to write about her character, like descending into madness and whatnot, that's an angle. So you gotta have to, or let's say we're writing about Frankenstein. If you're writing about Frankenstein, big, the scientific ethics stuff we talked about, that's an angle. If we were talking about McTeague losing his medical license, that's an angle. So you kind of have to ask yourself, what specific part of our discussions of these books did you find most interesting? Then run with one of those very specific sort of questions that we talked about. So, but you'll gradually work towards that specific thesis, right, about what it is. The bibliography is mostly geared towards showing you what all's out there, what all have people talked about. Because especially in literary research, it's good you have to know what other people were saying, so you can kind of carve your own sort of argument within that larger conversation, right? You don't want to just repeat what somebody else said. Ideally, right? There's always a little bit of that, but you kind of want to carve out your own original work, your own original reading of one of these books. And it's good. Again, the cool thing about this class is a lot of the books we've read, haven't been talked about a lot in research. Like The Country Doctor, which we just read, that has very little stuff.
True that.
Yeah. So, I discovered that when I was writing about it. It does not have a lot of work written about it. So some of these texts, you have a chance to maybe come up with something original. So the thing is, the annotated bibliography, which is the first step in this project, that's going to help give you an idea of what people have been talking about with your topic. So I have an example of an annotated bibliography. This is one that I actually wrote about McTeague before, early on when I started grad school. But basically what an annotated bibliography is, you have a citation in MLA style. Don't follow my citation for this, because this is old and MLA's changed. I've just kind of given you an idea of what the assignment will look like. But you have a citation. So, how Marcus Schuler found McTeague in Death Valley, Frank Norris, the pivotal event in the long arm of American realism. So you cite your source correctly, and then basically under it, you sum up, what the source said. So what was this person's argument about McTeague, in the source? You know, what was the argument? What sort of parts of the text did he use to support it? He or she used to support the argument. Because this isn't too complicated. You cite, you summarize, maybe a sentence or two at the end about how useful you think it's going to be to your project, right? So you might, you can say, well, I will build off what this guy said and say something similar, but maybe different, right? So that's kind of what you do here. Like I gave a few from my own McTeague's Gilded Prison. That's about the bird in McTeague that we talked about, the canary in the coal mine. The Nature of the Beast, Scientific Theories of Race and Sexuality in McTeague. So this is like I said, this is mostly designed to get you going, right? To see what all's written about one of your books. Some depends what book you pick, but some of these books you might have a little bit of a hard time finding stuff, just because, like I said, some of them don't have a lot of work written about them. So you pretty much do that. You cite your source. I'm not going to go over citation again because I know you guys know how to do it from last semester. If you do need a refresh, if you think you do need a refresher, tell me though, and I'll be happy to do it one day. Okay, but I feel like you guys know how to cite sources after last semester, since I had all of you in class. I know all of you know how to do it. So cite your source, summarize them, and then I'm asking for 8 citations in your bibliography. So 8 citations is what I'm going to be looking for. Okay, you should ideally make sure that they're all kind of different, right? Maybe see if they're saying anything different about the text, because the more you can kind of expand your work, see what people are saying, you can then kind of know the bigger picture of what people have been talking about. So if you did McTeague, right, maybe you'd look up stuff about medical. You would look up the stuff about sexuality and race, right? All this stuff that we've been talking about. I need to update this sheet. I use the same sheet over. I will update it. But I did put the right due date on here. So we're looking at the end of the month for when your bibliography and proposal is going to be due. Okay, so the 28th of April. It seems like a long way away, but I would say if you already have a good idea of what you might want to write about, start now, right, while things are moving kind of slow. That way you're not stressing yourself out in the last week or two. And then the actual final paper after that will be due in short order after your bibliography too. So if you get the bibliography out of the way early, you can maybe even start doing your paper early. Right? So I would recommend starting as soon as you can. So does this make sense as far as what I'm asking for? Haley, Bridget, Kenzie?
Yeah. I'm struggling though on what I want to write about.
Well, which text did you gravitate to the most?
Well, not to be biased, but probably the one that I read.
Right.
That or Frankenstein.
Yeah, so with Country Doctor, there's lots of angles in, right, that you could probably explore. You know that book just about as well as anyone else, right? Considering you thought so much about it to do your presentation, right? So you can maybe take one of those angles that you mentioned on Tuesday, and maybe run with one of those angles. So maybe you could talk about spirituality in the country doctor, right? Maybe gender roles in the country doctor. There's lots of angles. There's lots of angles you could possibly take. Bridget, if you would do Hawthorne, I don't know if you'd want to go back down that road or not, but there is a lot of stuff on him. There's a lot of stuff on yellow wallpaper too. So the ones that you're interested in, there's a lot of work done on those. And of course, Mackenzie's our last person who's going to be presenting to us on Aerosmith. So she might wait to see if she gravitates to that book or not. What are you thinking, Mackenzie? Any of the books we've read so far strike you?
I was thinking about actually doing Teague.
Teague? Yeah. Any specific?
What is it?
Or is there any specific angle in McTeague that you found yourself gravitating to?
I'm not really sure.
Right. Well, that's the good news. If you read a bunch of stuff, you can maybe see what part of it interests you and then kind of run with it, right? Let me go to our database. I will show you around the databases that we do have. Something that I'm going to recommend that you do over the next week or so, though, I'm going to recommend that you schedule a, I'm going to stop share of this and switch to something else. But I'm going to recommend that you schedule a one-on-one session with me one day. Okay, so I can use this Zoom thing anytime I want. So, yeah, feel free to schedule an appointment with me one day, maybe for 30 minutes or so. I can actually help you find some sources too, because I was telling Bridget before class, Southern doesn't really have a lot of access to English research databases. I've been bugging them to get them, but the librarian at Logan doesn't like me for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, but yeah, she just refuses to answer my emails. But I have access to a bunch of databases through WVU, so they have access to everything. Okay, so I can definitely help you find stuff. Of course, I've written about all these books that we've talked about too, so I have that in my head as far as stuff that's been said about all these books. Okay. Yeah, I actually should just send you guys my whole dissertation, right? Since it's done now, you can kind of see, you can kind of look at the works cited in that and see what all stuff's out there too. You can use me as a source if you want, right? Just because I have written about all this stuff. But let's switch over to my computer screen now. Let's see. So you should see the Southern web page. You guys see it? Okay. Just log into my Southern here. So we do have access to some stuff. It's not thorough, but you guys might find some stuff in this thing. But if you go to My Southern and go to Library Resource menu, and then go to EBSCOhost, you of course click the main one. I know all of you guys know about this too, just because I made you do it last semester in 101. Then just basically just search them all. Like we don't have access to a lot of them, so just search them all. So let's just type in McTeague for the sake of example. I'll type Frank Norris too. So And let's see what we get. I have no idea what we're going to get. Let's see. Yep, we're finding some stuff. Some of the stuff that was in my bibliography just now, like the pivotal event one. So you can run some searches and see what all kind of stuff you find here. Sometimes you might find a title that you might be interested in. So this one's Out of the Gene Pool, Primitivism and Ethnicity in Frank Norris's McTeague. So this was about race in McTeague. But notice you don't have a PDF full text that you can pull up. Sometimes that'll happen. If you do, if that does happen, take a screenshot of this information and send it to me. Okay, and I can get it for you real easy. It'll only take me like a day. So if you find like I said, if you find an article that you want to read but can't get, shoot me an email, even copy and paste. I just need this stuff, the title, the author, and all this stuff right here, and I can get it for you. Okay. We kind of have to play it by ear since we don't have a lot of resources. The Octopus and McTeague, Frank Norris and Professionalism. Reconsidering McTeague's Mark and Mac, Intersections of Naturalism, Imperial Masculinities, and Desire Between Men. So that's interesting. I guess that takes sort of maybe that argument says Marcus and McTeague have a thing for each other, right? That sounds like that's what that article's about. Naturalism is popular myth. There's a lot of stuff here, right? Just on McTeague, 90 results. But like I said, some of the stuff you can't get right off, but I can get it for you. So just remember that. Let's type yellow wallpaper. One thing to do when you run these searches, if you want to put in a second term, you always kind of want to put this capital and in all caps. Okay, that's sort of that's how the library database tells that you're searching for two terms. Now we're finding plenty of stuff about this. This is an actually ebook about the yellow wallpaper. If you take a look at that, we'll just pull it up. If you take a look at that, the good thing about book sources are usually good for this kind of assignment. Obviously, we don't have a big college library where there's tons and tons and tons of books. Sometimes even on this database, you can find ebooks, about one of these texts that someone like me has written. And so the thing about these is, though, I'm obviously you never read an entire book when you're doing research. You kind of want to broaden out, unless you really want to, right? But sometimes a good thing to do if you find a book source is actually find a chapter, one of the chapters in the book, and then you can cite just this chapter. So Brady Harrison's essay here, you could just cite this as a book chapter within the larger book. Okay, that's normally how these scholarly books work. They're normally divided up into chapters, and the chapters are usually pretty different from each other. Okay, so maybe one chapter is about what you're wanting to do, and another chapter isn't. So just cite the chapter. It's like I said, you're never going to read the whole book unless you just really want to. I can count on one hand probably how many times I've ever read a whole book of essays. It has to be something I'm really into. Here's an ebook, a biography of Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Sometimes biographical details about authors can help give you some perspective on what they were doing in their books, right? Gilman's Gothic Allegory, Race and Redemption in the Yellow Wallpaper. Queering the Yellow Wallpaper, Charlotte Perkins Gilman and the Politics of Form. So no shortage of articles about yellow wallpaper, right? So that's, like I said, I know that one's got a ton of stuff just because it's a very popular story. Let's look for Hawthorne and Rappaccini's Daughter. Let's see what we got for that. Yeah, so even with just the story Rappaccini's Daughter, we're finding a bunch of stuff. We had a good discussion of that one, if I recall. Yeah, of all the authors we read, Hawthorne, Poe, McTeague, Yellow Wallpaper, and Frankenstein, all those have a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff we're reading later, like Country Doctor and Aerosmith, don't have a lot of stuff. So I can tell you what has a lot of stuff and what doesn't. But on your own time, I encourage you to play along with this database and see what you can find. All of you guys should have a folder on the database that you can sign into. So maybe you look through it, you can add some articles to your folder so you can get back. If I remember last year in 101, I made everybody sign up for an account on this thing so you could get stuff later. So definitely take advantage. There's another, you can also look at Google Scholar too. Sometimes Google Scholar will have articles that you can find as well. Scholar.google.com. So we'll look for, let's type a country doctor and see what we find, if anything. I found one whole thing about a country doctor here, right?
Wow, I see how this is gonna go.
Oh goodness, Haley.
Yeah. Like I said, I know where, as far as this book, I know everything that's been written about it. That's not me boasting. There's not a lot of stuff written, and I've read everything. Right. So if you want to do this, I can help. If you want to write about this book, I can help. What about, let's look for McTeague. Yeah, so we're finding some different titles about McTeague here. The Frontier behind McTeague. The Drama of a Broken Teacup. The Old Grannis Miss Baker plot in McTeague. Somebody actually wrote an entire article about Old Grannis and Miss Baker, right? I need to read that. That sounds like a riveting read, just like their relationship, right? So usually, if you find something on here, if you can, it'll give you a PDF. You can click and get to it. All this stuff's open information. So if it says PDF, you click it, it'll normally take you to the article, just like we just did. When you read these articles, something I recommend that you do, always go to the bottom and see what they're citing too. So you can think about it like it's a big rabbit search almost, right? See what they've cited, and then you can go and look at that kind of stuff, right? See what they've taken from. Yeah, Google Scholar can help. Most of the time on here, though, it'll just give you a summary of what the article's about. You might not be able to pull it up. In which case, just send me the info again, and I can get it for you. So as far as the general web goes, that's mostly where you're going to be finding stuff that we actually have access to. Of course, if you sort of hit your head on the wall because you're not finding anything, I can probably help break you out of it and help you find more stuff. Let me, I'll actually demonstrate here just to show you. I'm at the WU databases. Let's see how much more stuff we find here. Let's see. Hope I'm not a health major. Bad thing about this stuff is they lock all this stuff behind a paywall, right? That's the worst. That's the worst part about a lot of this stuff. Give me a second. Yeah, information is just as corporate as anything else in our world today. Big companies own these databases. So I'll search. Look how many more databases they've got, right? Tons and tons and tons of them. But I'll type McTeague into this. What did we get a minute ago? About 100 results or something? Let's see what we get here. I have about the same, actually. Maybe I just need to search more databases. Let's search them all.
Quick question. When you search them all, like when you do that, is it going to be possibly the same article repeatedly throughout the search?
Sometimes that'll happen. Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes that will definitely happen. Yeah, some a little bit more stuff. There's a few other places to look on their site too, besides EBSCOhost that we can also look for.
Try my story.
Country Doctor. A lot of the stuff written about Sarah Jewett's in books. But I can get you a PDF of some of the
Oh
books.
yeah, we went from 1 to 15, boys.
Yeah, you've got way more to pick from there, Haley.
Yep. And this is all pretty recent stuff too. Like this is from the Journal of American Studies from a 2010 issue, right? So that's pretty recent scholarship as far as that goes. Let's look at another database they've got. Let's see. Let's look at one that's called JSTOR. If you guys move on to another college in the future, it's good to know these different names of these databases, right? JSTOR is a popular one. This one will probably have a bunch of stuff.
Oh, 852, 800.
Yeah, quite a bit more stuff. Some of the stuff might be about Sarah Jewett's other books, like The Country of the Pointed Firs. Haley mentioned the other day. That's her most famous book. So that there's a lot of stuff written about that. But I've read this article before. This is a pretty good article about it.
Now, would we be able to go to this JSTOR, or is it that you have to?
You would have to Skype with me or something if we were going to run some searches together.
What about a friend who goes to, like, say, tech? Do they have access to this?
Yes, they do.
So could I get a friend to help me?
Yeah. Your friend would have to log in with their credentials or whatever. But yes, if you have someone who's a student up there, you can get them to help you too.
Would it be
That's
something like you send us the link, or like you download the PDF and send us the PDF, or we still wouldn't have access to it?
That's what I would do. I would download the PDF and email it to you.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, I can get anything that's on here, because the librarians are usually pretty good about getting you anything you need. The reason why they've got so much more stuff, WVU's a research school, right? Southern's a teaching school, right? Where there's not a lot of people that do research at Southern because we're all so busy teaching. Right, so that's why we don't have access to a lot of this stuff. Plus, it's super expensive, right? They have money to pay for this stuff, and we don't. Concorde. If any of you guys know anyone who goes to Concorde, Concorde has access to a bunch of this stuff too. So if you want to use someone, they can use someone for their database privileges, right?
Once you go to some of these schools, would you always have access to it?
Sadly,
Or only
sadly, no. Once I graduate this spring, I'm probably going to lose access to this stuff myself. Yeah, so that's.
you would think if you're part of their alumni, you would be able to have access.
Yeah, you would think. I'm thinking what I'm actually going to do is I might actually just try to teach a online class for them every semester or something.
Just so you can get those.
Yeah, just so I can get those, right?
Yes, that'd be great. And you would be on their faculty. I mean, how else is that to say?
Yeah. Yeah. I am technically still a faculty member up there, so as well as.
Oh, so you'd already taught there before?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's where I was before I came to Southern while I was working on my doctorate.
Why'd you switch over?
Lots of reasons. I hated living in Morgantown for one. Yeah, I missed this place, right? So that's one of the main reasons why I moved back. People here are my people, right? They really weren't up there a lot.
Gives you pride too to say that you went out, you made it, but you're able to come back and help students to become. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's something I've always wanted to do, is come back and give back to the area and all that stuff. So even now, I could probably get a more high-paying job, right? But I'm probably going to still stick around here just because I like it.
Yeah, I was wondering what he was going to do, because I with you getting your doctorate degree, I was like, he's going to move on.
Well, maybe, never know. Maybe in the future, but for now, I'm sticking around.
Well, that's good. That's really good. Maybe they'll give you a big raise.
Yeah, our school's got a really weird system with raises. It doesn't matter if you win the Nobel Prize. You have to wait 4 years to get a raise here. So, yeah.
Seriously? Well, y'all need to be talking to that new president about that.
Yeah, we definitely do. Kevin's mad about it too, because they're paying him like he just has a master's degree and he's got a doctorate degree. So he's not happy about it either.
That is not, I don't agree with that. That's terrible. You know, because when I went to, might have been that meeting I went to last month, whether I think it said there were 60,000 enrolled. How many over all the campuses and online?
At Southern?
Yeah, I thought that's what it said.
No, we don't have anywhere near that. We got about 1,500 students across all the different campuses.
I was wondering because I was like, that is like, I can't believe there was that many.
Yeah.
I hope I can go back and see where I've seen that at. Because I thought, man, I never would have thought there was that many students enrolled. Maybe they meant total that's came through over all their years.
That was probably it, or over a decade or something.
Yeah, maybe that's what they was talking about. I was like, because that's definitely just, I mean, seriously, if they had that many enrolled, there's no reason for them to be
We only have
having their teachers like that.
We only have 98 at our Wyoming campus. That's it as far as that goes. And a lot of those folks are just online people, so I wonder why we don't see a lot of foot traffic up there. That's why.
Yeah.
WVU's got like 30 or 40,000 students, something like that. So they're definitely the number one in the state as far as how many people are there.
Like on campus?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All the schools in the state are declining, though. Concorde's had really big hits as far as their enrollment. Like they've had to do a lot of cutbacks just because not as many people are going to school now as they were 10 years ago. Or people have left the state and have moved to other states. So a lot of these schools are hurting for that reason, too. Mm-hmm. Except WVU. WVU is like the monster that eats all the other schools in the state. It's kind of, a lot of people in this, especially here at Southern, don't like WVU too much just for that reason. They steal a lot of students. We're competing.
How many goes to Marshall?
I don't think there's a ton at Marshall. I think there's 5,000 or 6,000, something like that. Yeah, so there's not a ton of people there.
It's a pretty school, though.
Yeah, Concorde's only got about 2,000 people, I think. That might be too high. I haven't seen their numbers in a while.
Wow.
Now, Bluefield State's hurting the worst. They've only got about 800 students there right now. I do know that. Bluefield State and Concorde need to merge together, if you ask me. That way they can.
I think that would be a good thing if they would do that.
They can combine their programs together, right? They would be a pretty strong school if they did that.
I think so too. Oh, sorry, I'll mute that. My clock's going off.
You're good. I don't know, any questions you guys might have about these databases? Anything that I can address? Let me, I'll pull my dissertation up real quick. Let's look at my works cited. I'll show you how long it is. Let's see. I actually have to go back through this thing again and do final polishes before I submit it officially. Let's see. I'll share my screen for you again.
So you mentioned the other day that I was just asking because you said that you came back to the area. You're from Oceana?
Yeah.
You graduated from West Side or Oceana?
No, my parents, when I was growing up, my parents lived in Pineville, so I went to East.
Okay.
But they're living in Oceana now.
They live in Oceana. Okay.
Yeah, my little brother actually went to West Side. So yeah, they live pretty close to West Side up there.
Okay, so down Clear Fork. Okay.
They live pretty close to the Clear Fork Valley Church up there. Yeah, they are Wyoming County people through and through.
They're like me. You cheer for East and West.
Yeah. Let's see. See what I'm doing here. Here it is. And so you see this thing I just finished is 234 pages long. Okay.
My
But
goodness.
But everything we've read in this class is here. First chapter is about Hawthorne and Poe. Second one's about Jewett and Howells and Phelps, who we didn't read. Third chapter is about McTeague and Yellow Wallpaper and Steinbeck. I talk about the snake, the story of the snake that we read.
Oh yeah, that was a good little story too. Weird but good.
The fourth chapter is about Aerosmith, which we're getting ready to read. I have a whole chapter just for Aerosmith. But the thing that if you want to use my thing, just look at the works cited at the end. You guys can see I've got about 10 pages of works cited and stuff that I've read on all these different authors. So you can take a look at that, just scroll through it. You can maybe find some stuff that you might want to read. And I have all this stuff on my computer. I can send it to you as well.
Now, all the things that you cite and you've read, is that everything that you have to talk about in you have to bring something from their thing into your story, like some line or quote, or
Yes.
you summarize from it?
Yeah, literary research is all about being a part of a conversation, all right? So you kind of always have to show, how you fit within this larger discussion of the books, right? So you don't want to repeat what someone else has said. You want to come up with your own interpretation, but you have to show in the writing what other people have said and show how you're building off it. You'll see if you read through some of this, you'll see how that works, because pretty much in all these chapters, the first 10 pages or so, I sum up what other people have said, right? So you can kind of see how that works.
Okay.
Of course, for you guys, I'm asking the final paper for us will be 6 to 8 pages, right? So I'm not going to expect you to do a ton of that, but I am going to expect a little bit just to show. The bibliography will help with that because it will help you write that part of your paper. It talks about the research other people have done. Yeah, I'll send this to you. You can also broaden something else I just mentioned. You can probably also broaden out to talk about other stuff that we haven't read, or like one thing I did here was in my conclusion. I talked a lot about like different TV show, medical drama TV shows and stuff, right? So if you've seen one of those, like I talked about ER,
I love ER.
Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. I talked about the Hannibal Lecter novels and films. Yes,
I love those films.
they're part of my favorites.
Silence of the Lambs is probably my favorite, like, psychological thriller movie of all time.
Yeah, of course, all the stuff that we've talked about in this class is part of that movie, right? Hannibal was a professional, right? But he's abusing his professional authority, quite literally, in this case, by eating his patients, right? So yeah, I mean, I've also unleashed the chains for you here. You don't have to write about. You can write about something related to what we're doing too, related to our course theme of the medical profession. So I'll open that up to you too, and maybe you might strike an idea. Go back to the class. So anything else I can address while we're in session here? Or will it wait for Bridget? Yeah, I was just asking everybody, Bridget, if there's anything else I can address before we conclude for the day.
No, I think I'm good. I'll set up an appointment with you
Okay.
and a time, and I'll email you. We'll set that up, and we'll work on maybe even possibly my schedule and those databases.
All right. Yeah, for sure. Of course, we're on a strange schedule anyway, so you can talk. I mean, you can talk to me on Friday or whenever, right? Since we're not
Okay.
even Saturday or something, I'm usually not doing anything. So you guys schedule with me anytime. I'm just not a morning person. You know that about me. So yeah, so we do talk. It'll be in the afternoon probably.
No 9 a.m. meetings.
No, that's. I always joke with people. That's half of why I went into this profession, so I could just sleep late all the time. So. All right, everybody. So take care. We'll see you all next time.
Yes, sir.
Before I go to let's see. We need to talk about Aerosmith and our reading schedule for that too.
Oh yeah.
That's Aerosmith's our longest book of the semester. So how to bust it up is going to be a struggle.
It is, because I think I started it last night, and I think it's got like 40 chapters.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Doesn't look that thick though.
Really? Here's my book.
Yeah.
Well, I think mine doesn't have like all the stuff in it. Like, does yours have like the beginning where they're leaving like author's notes and?
I had this just a few pages right here. That's all that was, a few pages of like a little bit of introduction notes.
What about for the ending?
For the what?
The ending.
It ends right here is chapter 40, and it ends in what's called the afterword. So it's only like that many pages. It's all. So see, this is the reading right here.
Mine's nowhere near that thick though.
Seriously?
It's
Do
not.
I have the right book, Mr. Yeager?
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
I ordered mine off the site that you gave us, and mine's not that big. Hold on, I'll go get it.
Yeah, I gave you guys I said a fairly cheap edition. I think so. I sent you through Amazon, wasn't it, earlier? Doesn't really matter what edition. I have an ebook of it, so that's what I use.
Can you guys still see me?
Yeah.
Hate that. How do you not show yourself?
With me? Are they talking to me?
No, she's talking to me. That's my dad. Everybody, this is my dad.
Hello.
Hello. This is my
Hello.
and that was my uncle that just walked by, and you probably see my kids running in and out.
We just put up a fan switch and all that in here. Okay. I'll see you.
How about we do this? It's a
See?
pretty. Yeah, that looks
I'm tired of watching.
good. It might just be the pages are bigger.
I think it's
yeah,
yours is
it
a lot
could be where
bigger
it's
than mine.
longer.
Yeah. How about we do this? I'm going to give you guys a very large chunk of it before, let's say, for a week from now. Okay, very large chunk for a week from now. So next Thursday, it's got 40 chapters. Read the first 25 chapters the next
I
Thursday.
knew that was coming.
Me too.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna say 25.
Well, so I'm cutting you a little bit of slack because, that Tuesday to Thursday gap's always short, right? So I could have said, read 10 chapters and then read 15 chapters for Thursday. I figured we might as well just crush them all into one day. Okay.
Are we still gonna meet Tuesday?
No, I was actually thinking maybe next Tuesday. That might be a good day that you guys can schedule a meeting with me if you want. Okay. So I think
Okay.
I don't even think it's necessary that we have a class next Tuesday, but we can use that time for meetings. So I can make myself available that day for research meetings if you want. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, does that sound good to you guys? I don't want to overwhelm you. We could just meet Tuesday and Thursday and just do lesser parts of the book. What sounds better to you? I'm open.
So I say we meet Thursday and have the first 25 read. That sounds good. That's doable in a week.
Yeah. Mackenzie, as far as your presentation goes, I'll let you do it that Tuesday after when we finish the book. Okay. That way you can talk about the book as a whole that day, sort of like how Haley just did with Country Doctor. Yeah, that way you don't have to read 25 chapters plus do a presentation in one day. That would be rough. All right, guys. So next Thursday will be our next meeting. But like I said, feel free to schedule next Tuesday during our time, and I can help you out. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
See you guys next time.
All right, bye.
All right.